It's Model Sex magazine. I was lucky to get the chance to interview Katherine Michael, an Irish designer for fashion, stage and screen. I hope you enjoy this. Remember to touch the flickering flame, run with courage and belief, to not give a fuck. Cup of tea. Oh, thank you very much.
Do you want to top it?
Okay, if you can fit any more into it. Do you have to hold your little pinky out, right? I don't want to spill it, but...
Yes, of course. Cheers.
It was warm once. So, here I am with Katherine Michael. Hello, Katherine.
Hello.
And I know you, Katherine, as a fellow classmate, although I was a couple of years behind you, but I also know you as you've gone on to study in the college out in Dun Laoghaire, the IADT. What was the course you did there?
So I did, so you came to my graduation show, which was design for stage and screen, and it was costume. Costume design was what I specialised in. And now it's the course is like mixed with model makers, character makeup, production design. So it's a lot bigger now. The course is really expanding, and so. Yeah.
Okay. How many years was that course?
It was 4, but I did 3.
You skipped first year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you skipping first year? Did you have any regrets not doing first year?
No, not at all. No, I was happy to just go straight into second year, and because I'd been to Sallynoggin, where I'd studied fashion, that's where I met you, and I guess you see, I just wanted to speed up the process of study, because I'm now 7 years, out of I've studied for 7 years, and I didn't want to do any more.
Okay, I went to your show, and I'm going to show some footage of, we had a chat at your graduation show, and there's some of the work behind us showing Niamh in some of your outfits, your costumes. When you were in Sallynoggin, what were you doing in Sallynoggin? That's Sallynoggin College of Further Education.
Yeah.
Which I think we both agree is a fantastic course.
It's
fantastic.
Great, it's a great foundation for.
Yeah.
I'd never picked up a sewing machine. I don't think I'd ever made anything. Maybe an apron when I was in like first year in school, but I'd never made anything.
Yeah.
So the course is it's absolutely brilliant. So that gave me a foundation, and then I kept wanting to repeat. So they had 2 other courses. So they formed a course for people like me who.
Which eventually I cottoned on to as well. Yeah.
Where you can come and hone your skill in a particular area, and then you don't have to do the exams.
Yeah. Okay. When you how many years did you do of what was that called again?
Sallynoggin. So Sallynoggin was VTAC level 5 and 6.
5 and 6.
Yeah, and that was in fashion design.
Yeah.
So I did 2 years, and then I resat for another 2. So it was 4 years.
Yeah. And then you applied to go to IADT.
Not directly. No, I went out and I worked for Helen Steele, who's that fashion she's a fashion designer. We were in school together. She's a fantastic painter as well, and so she asked me to do some patterns for her because she was making something for Saoirse Ronan, and so I had a studio in town, and I used to live in the studio as well, and I painted.
That was on the Liffey.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. I remember that.
That was so good. And so I painted quite large paintings there. I made some costumes, did some bit of fashion work, bit of design work, and then I got a notion in my head that I would work for that I'd work for Dior in Paris. So
I remember that.
So I really wanted to.
I remember that. I was like, can you speak French? I used to say.
No.
Didn't matter.
So I went to the show. Because Dior put on an amazing show in the Louvre. So I went over for a day trip over with Ryanair, and I was blown away by it. And
wow.
I asked one of the.
Was that a summer or a winter?
That
or
was
a winter.
It was freezing. We had to queue all the way around the Louvre. And then I think I was queuing for 2.5 hours, going, oh my god, am I going to get my plane back? But anyway, the queue moved past, and I was grand, and I did get the plane that day back to Ireland.
Oh my god!
But I got to speak to the head woman. They have a particular name in French, but I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But she was lovely, and I got someone to translate, and I was like, can I work under you, and can I learn your skills? And she was like, yes, oui. I was like, great. And then I was planning to do that, to go to Paris and just work in there and maybe work my way up. But actually, if I'm really honest, I just was too afraid to go in as a designer.
Yeah.
Because so it's taken me. So anyway, I don't know. Somebody said, why don't you go to IADT and think about doing costume design? So I went for the interview to do. For the IADT, and then they said to me, listen, your portfolio is a bit shit because we don't really see you in this portfolio, but tell us more about you. So I told them all the things I was interested in, what I was fascinated with, and things I was inspired by, and they were like, we'd like to have you on the course, but what will you do if you don't come in to the course? Like, what will you do if you don't get offered?
Yeah.
And I said, I'll just blag my way into Dior, and I'll just go to Dior in Paris.
Oh, brilliant.
Because it was true. I was like, I had nothing to lose. I was single. I was still am. I've nothing to lose. I can go full. So they went. We'll take you in. And
okay.
we're gonna place a bet on you, and you can come into second year.
I'm here in IADT, and I'm just waiting to talk with Katherine Michael, who has just finished her course in film and costume design, and she'll tell me more about it hopefully now in a moment. Here she comes. Come over here, Katherine.
Hello.
So look into the right. So I'm here with Katherine Michael. Katherine, what was the course that you did?
I did design for stage and screen, and I feel like I'm like and I specialise in costume design.
Okay, how many years were you in the course?
I was in the course for 3 years. It's actually a 4-year course, and they've changed slightly since I've joined. They're now putting model making included into the course, and film, a bit of film. So yeah.
Right, and behind us here is. Can you describe what we're looking at here?
So basically, for part of my major projects, I had to design. I chose Taming of the Shrew, and so I decided to set it in pre-fascist Italy, Lake Como. So I designed the set and obviously the costume to go for. Katharine is the major. She's one of the main characters, and.
Is it for an opera? Sorry.
No, it's for a film.
It's for a film.
So Taming the Shrew is a
I'm going to edit that out. Let's start again.
Oh.
Taming the Shrew.
Taming the Shrew.
Yeah, it is a play.
It's a play.
But I thought you were. It was going to be performed as an opera. No, it's going to be performed as a film.
It's performed as a film.
Yeah.
And so Taming the Shrew is by William Shakespeare, and it was set in 1400s in Italy. So what I did was I set it still in Italy, but I just changed the date to 1934, which incidentally was when my mother was born.
Fantastic.
And I set it in Lake Como in Italy.
Italy, yeah.
Yeah. So this is Katrina on the final scene where she's just about to. I don't know if you know the script.
I actually don't know the script, but I need to. Let me see. I'm just going to go zooming in, and we just get a look at the detail. Can you describe the detail, please?
So basically, I just wanted to have her wearing a really fitted jacket, and then at the back I have. I wanted to add tails because the character.
I see. I didn't actually pick up on the tails. Yeah.
So she's quite a strong character, and I still wanted wanted to have her like not masculine, but the hint of masculinity. I don't know if that makes any sense. And I like the idea of having the feathers to give her some like drama.
It becomes more alive actually, as you know.
And then what I did was,
as you're explaining the detail, lovely, yeah.
I wanted to have the collar. So basically, early 1930, like 34, the collars were like a lot narrower, and then as you go into the later, the 1935, 39, everything gets a lot more wider, and so I just preferred this period because it's it's more delicate, and later 30s has an echo of 1950s. So that's why and then the dress, I can open it if you want.
Yes, please.
So what I did was I couldn't design just a skirt because the jacket was so high up. So what I did was I made sure to have her wearing a dress underneath, so that you don't see the split. So basically,
okay, and is this dress
this is silk jersey.
This is a jersey. I was going to say, is it on the bias?
It is on the bias.
It is on the bias. How would I? What a surprise! Fabulous.
I was told not to put it on the bias because it would stretch, but it's okay.
It is amazing.
It's okay.
It is amazing.
So,
and look at the trail.
So
did you go to the trail or a train?
Train.
A train.
Yeah.
Like as in. Okay, so Katherine has put a train onto her dress.
Yeah. So basically, what it was is
It's a bit like the doors.
I had to hang it and then have like two to put two scissors on the seams to weigh down because it would grow, you know. So I had to sew it a few times because bias obviously grows over time. So I had to let it hang for about a week, 2 weeks, and then finally sew it. And
let's explain it. How did you make these? What do you call them? Epaulets, I suppose, or some sort of shoulder?
Basically, my mom had so many amazing clothes, and she had this beautiful feta boa from, I think it was Dolce & Gabbana.
Yeah.
So what I did was I cut it in half, and I attached them by hand.
Right.
But it was tricky because, like, if you show the camera from this angle, we had to make sure that it didn't look too too crazy.
Okay, I went to see a recent production that you designed and made the costumes for. It was called the
Spanish Tragedy by Thomas Kidd.
Okay, what did you have to do? Like, I'm just like you did an awful lot. So can you just kind of explain?
I'll try and condense it as Alan Farquhar is a set designer, and he was one of our tutors on our course, and he phoned me the day of my graduation show and he said, are you interested in doing costume design for the Dublin Youth Theatre? They're putting on Aoife Hinks is putting on a production, and they needed a costume designer, and I was like, yeah, that sounds great. What's a Spanish Tragedy? And he goes, oh, it's it's a play Thomas Kidd set in, I don't know, 1400s or whatever. And I said, oh, and just then the other thing is, how many costumes? And he goes, about 40. And I was like, oh my god, yes, I love the challenge. And I'm going, what have I just signed up for? But anyway, I just thought, oh my god, what a great opportunity to just be really script.
This was on. Had you finished your...
I had just my graduation show was the next day, and he phoned me the night before going...
Were you all set for the graduation show?
All set, yeah.
This didn't put you over the edge?
No, not at all. I was quite excited. The only thing
it would have put a mere mortal over the edge.
No, I think the only thing actually, because I had booked holidays, and I was like, oh, damn. I booked 2 weeks to go to London to go and visit my brother, because I hadn't been out of the country in years, and... so I had to weigh up, would I cancel my holiday, or would I do this opportunity to be a costume designer and actually embrace what I've actually just studied over the last 3 years. So I just thought, just do it. So and that's it. So I then got to meet. So then on Zoom, I got to chat with the director, and she sent me the script, which actually was so difficult to read. It was a nightmare.
I saw the production. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And not just as an interested friend, but I actually found it surprisingly. I thought it was brilliant, and I came out going, "Thank you so much for getting me to go to it." You know, was it a difficult process?
100%, yeah. Really difficult, but also so the youths were absolutely amazing. I mean, there's no I don't know how they remember lines. I think we discussed that before. Like one, it's a Shakespearean play, but sorry, it's not Shakespearean. It's Kid. So Kid was before Shakespeare, and Shakespeare would have taken a lot of, you know, the tragedy, revenge tragedy. A lot of the themes that Shakespeare has done in his plays are pretty much taken from a Spanish tragedy. So Spanish tragedy was the originator of a lot of Shakespeare's work, and so the English, it's all old school English, and I had to be really honest with the director and go, I actually can't. I had a gut response of how I wanted to design for the play, but I had to sort of have a foundation of why I was designing like that. So I had to understand the script. So I said to her, listen, I don't understand it. So she got me in touch with a woman who helped, her name it will come to me, but she was able to then translate the script in English, plain English, and I was like, oh yeah, and then what does he mean when he does this? And she totally made
it was quite dense language, and what impressed me as well is like some of the actors were as young as
15.
Yeah. And I remember when I was in school and trying to understand Shakespeare, and woof, it was a big twist in trying to put it all together.
Yeah, like so Tanya helped with that process. So when we did the read through of Tanya was a dramaturge, so she helped all the youths also to understand it. And then Aoife has a really unusual way of directing. So she I just thought she really got them to understand the play in a way that's very intuitive or guttural rather than.
It was delivered in a completely natural way.
Yeah.
And as I say, I was so impressed because these from 15 to 21 seemed to be the age group, and they were so immersed, so absorbed, and perfect.
Yeah, like she had what's the thing when you get an actor and they have the exact role right for their role.
Casting.
Yeah. So the director cast extremely well all the people. So there were 15, I think there was 16 actors, and there were 40 costume changes. So what I did was when we did the read through and it was my turn to present my designs to the cast. One guy stood up and he goes, oh, I hope it's period. Are you going to do it? And like, he was thinking Elizabethan period, and I was like, not a chance. Am I going to be doing 40 costumes in Shakespeare? So I decided the next best thing was to set it in the 80s, because the 80s has a slight. There's something mirrors Elizabethan time within the 80s. The higher shoulders, big ruffles. And I just thought do it in that period, and so that's it. So then the challenge was, because the script I felt was quite a challenge for the audience, I wanted to be able to separate the colours. So have Spain, the court of Spain, all yellow and orange, yellow and red, and then have Portugal sort of more purples, greens. More sort of heart-based colours, and then Spanish, because it's very guttural, sort of that sort of base and solar plex. So that's where I was going with the colours, and so everything. So when I was choosing for some of them, so when I designed for them, I would have sourced, hired, and made some of the clothes from scratch. And I would have altered, like one of the general's outfits was a beautiful Escada, gorgeous suit I found for like €20 in a charity shop. Like, thank God for some of the charity shops. Beautifully tailored suit. So then what I do is I augmented it and put like lots of sort of trims on it to make her look like she was a general, and it was nice actually putting the guys in high-waisted trousers and nice shoes that they wouldn't usually wear normally, because usually they'd be wearing trainers.
So in a sense, you've kind of answered one of my questions, which would have been, what was a typical day for you on that? Because there's no such thing as a typical day. You had to be available and present for every emergency, and and present ideas that would work.
Yeah, you had like I ate and slept all of this. Like you see, when this is not, it's a good thing, but it's also not a good thing. So when I get a script, and probably there's other designers, maybe you're the same. When I get a script, I read it and I actually feel it all. Like I can't detach from what I'm doing, what I'm creating. So it does get very emotional. Usually there's some drama that happens in my life. Because I'm engrossed in the play, it's an all or nothing for me, and so
Well, Karl Lagerfeld admitted that somebody asked him, do you, Karl, do you ever make any of the costumes? And he said, if I made the costumes, there wouldn't be a show.
Yeah.
He says he designs, and then he had an atelier of expert seamstresses.
That's such a privilege to have.
Who'd interpret all his work and deliver it.
Because there was a drawing which I kept drawing constantly. I'll show it to you, like of the Revenge, and I kept having this drawing, and I was like, oh my god. Part of me was like, I wish, but of course you don't have a budget for the. So Dublin Youth Theatre would have got funding from the Arts Council, and the money that's given for costume is tiny, and so I wouldn't be able to afford to have a maker. So I had to be the maker, the alterator, the wardrobe mistress, supervisor, fitter. Have to make sure that to be able to guide the people backstage. So as soon as I was given the script, I was working back. So 5 weeks I had. So I had to work backwards. Okay, what is my it's like it's massive. It's huge. I'm so glad I did it, but it's unbelievable. The director at one stage, she was like, I don't think Belle Imperia's shoes work, and I'm like, oh, shit, where am I going to get her shoes now? And we open tomorrow. I'm like, damn. So I'm coming back with all my bags, because we're always carrying loads of bags. I'm coming back with my bags. I'm heading back here. It's like, I don't know, late. It's about 10 o'clock at night, right? I really just wanted a cup of tea, so I went into the Palace. The Palace, the theatre. It's a casino, and it's also a
Camden
bar.
Street?
Yeah, it's in the Palace. It used to be a nightclub. Went in there. I went to the toilets. I took out the shoes. I had sandpaper, and I was like, I'm not doing this here in my room. So I sandpapered off the old paint. It's now 11 at night, and I'm going, what on earth am I doing? Anyway, so I sanded off, because I was in a beautiful, massive big bathroom. It was great. I sanded off. I got rid of all the dirt.
You're in the ladies in the Palace.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Sanding down the shoes, going, shit, how am I going to get the colour to stay on? Because there's a lot of fight scenes. So also there was a lot of choreography fight scenes, which were amazing. So Jonathan East was the guy who did all the fight scenes and hangings and stuff like that. So absolutely amazing. So I dreaded those, because every time there was a fight scene, the dress that I sewed by hand, I was like, oh my god, is it going to fall apart? Am I going to have to cut it again? Am I going to have to sew it again? Because a lot of that stuff was made by hand. So I'm in anyway the bathroom and doing the shoes, and I'm going, great, okay, they're now ready, they're primed for me to go painting when I come back here. And then just before I leave, I get my nice cup of tea, thank God. And I'm like, okay, great, I'm sorted. So then I come back in here, and then I stayed up, late to get the couple of layers on it. When you're painting shoes, they have to be painted in obviously thin layers, and then I had to match the colour, because it had to be exact to the dress that I'd made. I made it in a silk, like a peach silk, and I'd also got it. So what I had made the Belle Imperia's dress, because I can show you those photos, is I found this lovely dress in Oxfam. I was going to put it on a different character, and the director rang me and she said, oh, I think you should use that on Belle Imperia. So I was like, spot on. So then I took that dress apart and then augmented it and added petticoats and a silk skirt underneath, which I dyed.
When you were in college, had you ever experienced that type of?
I did Yes, but not to that extent. So I worked as a costume designer with Reem for the opera, which was filmed. So that's going to be out soon, shortly. So that was a film, but because of COVID, so I was in charge of 14 girls, and there were two of the girls who were in my class. They were in charge of the two main actors, right? So I had to find clothes find clothes or design or make for the different scenes for this opera, and so I did have that understanding, but the Spanish tragedy was like another notch higher than I'd ever, because I was pretty much me.
What I loved about the Spanish tragedy was the sense of the 80s, and you gave the actors this opportunity to be young people in the 80s, and they took it.
Yeah.
With you, like the play gave them the opportunity, the director gave them the opportunity, and the costume. And as an audience member, watching the posturing and the delivery and the joy that they could go, wow, we can be quite exaggerated, because the 80s was quite an exaggerated time in the pop world.
Yeah.
And I had a sense
like
they were reaching into the pop world.
Totally, because when I presented the drawings to them in the beginning, I don't know, I think we started July we started. I gave them reference pictures and I gave them drawings. My drawings were like hilarious. They're like scribbles, but I gave them all these things and they really got it, because obviously their parents are, they would have seen all that stuff from the parents. And like, for instance, there was one guy, I couldn't find for the life of me find a particular jacket. He was the guy who was the Portuguese king, and I couldn't find something that was actually rich enough for him. And so he gave me a green. I'm getting to them. He gave me a green velvet, a usual sort of like, one of these normal jackets that you see in the shop nowadays. And so I in the Dublin Youth Theatre where their base is just off Harcourt Street. I said. He came in for fittings and I was like, listen, can we like work with that? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, are you okay if I cut it up while it's on you? And he was like, yeah, no problem. So then I had fabric which I bought, which was a really nice velvet, and I draped it to it, and then I was going to drape and sew attach to the under, because I knew in order to, when you put velvet on someone, it's going to slip off. So basically his underjacket was going to be the foundation of what I was going to drape to him, which was a cape. Yeah. I'm just about to cut, and he goes, I think I've changed my mind. But he was messing. He was totally messing with me. So I like that they had a great sense of humour. They were really like, they were such fun. They really like, because there's a lot of bureaucracy and there's a lot of other stuff that's the difficult part, but they were a lot of crack, and they were up for it, and they, I think, it got the best out of them. They really acted amazingly. They were fantastic. Like, they're people who I think in the future we're going to be seeing them in cinemas. Like, I'd love to be the costume designer for so. Well, these are girls to watch. Totally.
It was a fantastic production. I came out and so enthused, probably over enthused, because I said to the dramaturge, I can't remember her name.
Tanya Dean.
I said, to see in this digital age where everybody watches everything on screens, on tiny little phones, and that seems to be the source of the entry into the world of entertaining, to be on like the likes of TikTok, but then to see these young people on the stage like Boomtown Rats, charging with energy, and believing. Like, some of the speeches were so long and so believed by the different characters. It was fabulous. So yeah, you kind of answered a lot of what I was going to ask.
There was also, like, I was grateful to have the support of, say, like, when I hired one costume from the Abbey Hire. So Abbey Hire have a massive big unit where you can hire costumes and stuff. So I hired one piece from there because there was no way I was going to make it. And they were also very supportive and gave me good advice, and as of what to expect, moving forward. So yeah, no, it was and even Alan Farquhar, like his experience, 40 years odd experience in costume in set design, like he gave me some really good tips as well. So I've learned a lot from the guys that are been doing this for years, and I was so grateful to be part of that unit of people really good at what they do, and to be able to have had the free reign yes, that was really so grateful to have the free reign, to have Aoife go, ring me and go, are you happy with this? What do you think of this? And there was a really good communication between herself and myself. So we were able to really I think we nailed it.
Well, congratulations to everybody who worked with you, and to all the actors and to your work. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks. I'm so glad you got to witness it.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Okay. Whoa, let me see. Just have a little bite. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Mm-hmm. So, Katherine, just a little bit about your background. Maybe about your early experiences as a young girl growing up. So where your imagination got its seeding, in a sense.
Well, I used to spend I'm similar to yourself in the fact that we came from big families. That's a big Catholic family, and we had a house that was detached, and which now is no longer sold when my parents died. And I used to spend a lot of my time in the garden, like chatting to the birds and chatting to the wind.
It was a big house, yeah.
Yeah, big house, and I used to like hanging out in the garden, and I would press flowers. I would read Graham Greene. I'd paint a lot.
In the house, was there a big staircase in?
Yeah, and mom. What we're drinking from is everything that was my parent. My mum's like.
Yeah, these are fabulous. Yeah.
She just had. She just loved. She loved nice stuff, and I think I was inspired by that. When she'd go away, I'd go into the room that I wasn't allowed to go into, and I'd try on the clothes, or I'd open up wardrobes and see this china, and I would just be fast, or I'd just
This was good china ware that she wouldn't use only for special.
Only for guests. Yeah. And the rooms that you weren't allowed into, we'd never there was a lovely couch, and I used to just sit on the couch, and there was a Steinway piano, and I'd play the piano.
Was this like a baby grand piano?
Baby grand, yeah, and I'd look at the chandeliers. I was just in awe.
Was that a room that you'd use at Christmas, maybe?
Yeah, and then there was another room that wasn't used at all, and
was there a basement?
No basement. I do remember there was a room that was underneath the stairs that had a lot of paint cans. That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
We'd another room that was
high ceilinged rooms.
Freezing though.
Freezing cold. Yeah. I grew up in a big house as well, and inspiring to my imagination, and but you'd run from room to room.
It's so cold.
The in my house, the kitchen, we had an aga, so the kitchen was warm.
Yeah, the warmest.
And then the sitting room, because there was an open fire, and that would be on.
You were lucky. Mom would go, run around the block.
Yeah.
There was no, you weren't able to be sick. You had no time to be sick. You basically run around the garden. So there was no. It was
Did you have fruit trees in the garden?
Yeah, we did. Did you?
We had a few,
Apple trees, pear trees.
Oh, beautiful! Yeah,
we had apple thieves that would come in.
In my family we had apple thieves, and they'd always come in before the apples had grown.
Oh yeah, so they were not ripe.
They were not ripe, and they weren't large. And every year, and I'd be so disappointed. I'd say to them, "Why don't you come back in a month's time?" So
no,
we get some.
So many.
We get some ripe apples, and you get some ripe apples, and but. So as a young girl, were you interested in clothes? Were you interested in fashion? Did you look through the Vogue magazines?
Yeah, I was always looking at Vogue. Mum. Yeah.
Was your mum stylish?
My mum was really stylish. She used to wear Jean Muir, Chanel, Karl Lagerfeld, Yves Saint Laurent. Like she wore all these amazing clothes.
Would you wear them regularly?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
She'd go to mass wearing like a Philip Tracy hat and this like. I know it's not PC now, but she's dead. She'd wear a big fur coat, and
that was the norm. That was the norm.
Yeah, she had no qualms about you might get paint thrown on you because you're wearing a fur coat. You know, there was none of that. She just was totally herself. I think I do admire that about her because I don't, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think I have the. I don't think I'd have.
Did you have experiences like? How many sisters have you got?
I have 2 sisters and 4 brothers.
Okay, and so did...
they're not really into fashion. Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's just me and probably my older brother.
Okay, oh right, yeah. When you were a young girl, I'm not trying to find out too much about your life as a young girl. I'm just trying to find about the imagination.
It's not really that interesting.
But the imagination, like you read, but did you draw when you were a child?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was asking you about did you draw when you were younger?
Yeah, I did a lot. I was drawing all the time.
What kind of things would you have drawn?
I drew a lot of self-portraits. I was quite depressed actually when I was in boarding school, but I would have drawn a lot of self-portraits. I would have done a lot of life drawing, and I would have drawn pieces like still lives. I was probably a better drawer then than I am now. Like my drawings are quite a scroll. I mean, this drawing, I don't know if it's but that's Peter O'Brien's drawing of my piece. He was one of the tutors on our course, and his drawings are just beautiful. Like he can just draw them in like, I don't know, 5 seconds. Yeah, beautiful pieces. But the stuff I do now is when I'm having to draw for a garment, I do have to be able to, you know, express my ideas on a sheet of paper for someone else to interpret what I'm doing. So it's important to have to draw.
Well, not all designers are brilliant drawers.
To be able to translate what's going on, it's important.
But they range. Like John Galliano is a brilliant drawer.
Okay.
But Vivienne Westwood, she got her ideas down.
Okay, yeah.
So once you can get your idea out of your mind and you can do some things that you can move from.
Yeah.
I mean that's the purpose of it.
Yeah. And I think
I'd love to be able to be.
Well, you've drawn this.
I've drawn some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
this is all about me. This program.
Well, there's stuff.
Forget her.
Well, yeah, your work is good. Like you can draw.
Hang on, will we swap places?
Yeah, totally. I'll wear your jacket. I do think art is as important as to be able to. Well, it helped me when I was a kid, basically drawing, because it helped me to be able to get at that angst.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Your mom was quite an influence. You probably weren't conscious that she was an influence, but you have vivid memories of her, like wearing a Philip Tracy hat and all the different high-end fashion labels.
Yeah, she was like totally non-apologetic.
And what about her sisters? Like, did you have aunts who were connected to her?
Yeah, my auntie's still alive. She's in.
Were they glamorous?
They were, but not when I saw beautiful photographs of her. Maybe I can show you the slides. There's lovely slides of her back from in the 50s. She was gorgeous looking. Wore beautiful clothes. Yeah. Would have had a seamstress who would have made dresses for her. But she didn't really take on the fashion that my mum was really. My mum was just very eccentric in how she wore her clothes. And
what about your father? Was he stylish?
He wore lovely 3-piece suits. He'd always wear a nice tweed. He'd always be wearing either cords or a tweed 3-piece suit. Dressed really well.
Yeah.
And that's why when I look at guys now, I'm like, I am a bit puzzled.
Well, everything now is quite. It's comfortable, and
that's why it was so nice to have the youths in suits and in jackets.
They responded to their clothes.
Yeah, and like a lot of them actually bought their costume, or they were they wanted their costume afterwards.
Fabulous.
Because like it makes such a difference when you dress well. It just I notice it myself. Like when I'm wearing like sloppy gear, I'm in a different mood. But then when I dress up, it's a totally different mindset. Like clothes are really important. Mm-hmm. They do affect us.
I know that you have some other artistic means of expression.
Yeah.
You play music. Obviously, you draw and you paint, and you're a DJ. So what's your musical instrument?
The flute. I get lots of people who laugh when I say I play the flute, because they take it up wrongly. Anyway, so I have a flute and I play sometimes that when I DJ. I don't always play it, but it's nice. It's just a nice expression.
Did you just take it up yourself, or did you get lessons?
Yeah, I got lessons. Like, I don't know about you, but we had to learn the recorder. Remember in primary school, I hated the recorder. It's such a dull instrument.
It was yeah.
So I asked Santa Claus.
Torture for everybody in the room.
Yeah, just
including the little kids.
Yeah.
The noise
and the smell. I always remember the smell of it. It was horrible.
Oh yuck! Yeah.
So I
asked
Santa Claus. I wrote him a letter and I was like, "Dear Santa Claus, can I have a flute and a rubber?" That sounds, and I know that if you were to think of what that means.
No.
So that's the.
That's an eraser, you mean?
Yeah, but I would have called it a rubber.
Yeah.
So
this goes out after 9 o'clock. This program, so it's okay.
Okay. So I got my rubber and I got my flute.
And you've worked as a DJ.
For about 20. I can't believe it. 20 years.
20 years.
As a DJ. Yeah.
So you worked with vinyl.
Vinyl. I love vinyl. I've had to move to digital because sometimes vinyl, you when you're playing with massive big speakers, that the vibration of the speakers sometimes affects the
needle jumps.
The needle jumps. But so I'm still doing that. I'm still doing corporate gigs and private parties.
When did you start being a DJ?
When I was in art college years ago, I studied.
Hang on, you were in art college?
Yeah.
No one ever told me this. This is all new to me. I thought I knew a few things.
So
you were in art college?
Yeah. So when I came out of school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Right. So my mum put my portfolio into Mountjoy Square, and as she was going up to Mountjoy Square, a guy tried to rob her bag. And God help anybody that would have tried to attack my mother. So she had my portfolio, she had an umbrella, and she beat the guy with the umbrella, and the umbrella was like, and he ran off.
Poor guy.
Yeah, anyway, but I got into the college, which was great. So I studied window dressing, visual merchandising for 2 years. Yeah, and I had previously done dental nursing in Trinity, so I had done a year in Trinity, dental nursing, and then I did two years as a visual merchandiser.
Okay.
In Mountjoy Square, and then that's where.
How come you never talked about that? Things that you kept hidden.
So when I was a dental nurse, I was doing that, and then I just got quite bored, unfortunately. And so, but anyway, so in art college, I got introduced to dance music, which I'd never heard before because I was big into classical music. Like
in Mountjoy Square, you got introduced to dance music. Yeah.
Dance music.
Are we talking in the 90s?
Yeah, 93, 94.
Okay.
And I'd never heard this music before, ever. I'd always been playing like Mozart, Bach, Mendelssohn, Pictures at an Exhibition, all this type of stuff. So listening to dance.
Had you any did you follow pop music when you were younger, like in school?
No. I loved U2. That's
okay.
Yeah,
U2 are amazing.
U2
absolutely.
and Eurythmics, and I mean I didn't really. Yeah, I think I must have played Wider Shade of Pale about a billion times. I had a tape deck. Yeah, my brothers gave me a tape deck for my Christmas. It was a tape and a radio. It was a 3-in-1. Oh God, that was a great gift.
Okay. Yeah.
I found it very hard when I was in jobs that I didn't enjoy, that weren't artistic or creative. I found it very hard to stay in the jobs. So I would move always into jobs that were more creative. So.
Given all the different paths that you've crossed, walked along, right? Would you be able to kind of say when you found places where you were like really, really happy with the
there's been glimpses like when I was working on the project for college for my degree, you get sometimes that sweet point where you're working with beautiful fabric and you've got a fantastic team, like you've Peter and Gillian, and you've got the great photographer, and you've got Neve, great model, and you have this combination of everyone working together, and you've got there's moments where I'm going, fuck, that's great, like it's
Yeah.
But I don't always have moments of you know. I probably am mostly in. I'm always striving for to produce beautiful things, beautiful content.
When I got to know you in Sallynoggin, and you were making dresses on the bias, and I'd only kind of heard about the concept of the bias, and next thing, you had Neve, who was my classmate at the time because we were both in the same class, and she was a perfect model.
Yeah.
And
Still is.
yeah, of course.
It's just like
Absolutely,
put
but
anything on it.
perfect. And you were putting these bias dresses on her, and I was like, "Phew, that's so special." And you liked vivid colors at the time. Was that because you're kind of going, okay, this I can afford this, or
I don't know. I always like those dual colours. I love opulent. I don't know. I just like. I do. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Mhm.
But I was also fortunate to be working with silks, beautiful fabrics. Hang definitely. I respond differently. Definitely respond differently to natural fabrics versus polyesters.
and learning to sew with them because the lighter the fabric, that's harder to control.
Well, with that dress I would need one. That one I did it by hand. I sewed that.
Okay, yeah.
I just basically just sewed that by hand, hung it on the stand for a while. I probably was looking at that for a year, and would modulate and change it, and then I just went, I'm not going to take a chance. I'm going to do it by hand. So I sewed it by hand.
Okay. Yeah.
And because sometimes you have more control when you sew with hand.
I remember starting in Sallynoggin, and like I'd messed around with a sewing machine because I was myself and a friend of mine. We were running a tango club, and I decided I'm going to make some bunting to put around the room, so to decorate it. And like we were showing videos of from YouTube that I downloaded and of tango, and so create a sense of atmosphere. Like this is a special event, right?
Yeah.
So I said. My mum had a very, very old antique Singer sewing machine, right? And I tried to get it going. I hadn't a clue how to get it going, and so my mum had a help who knew how to sew, and she showed me how to use the machine. So I realized, oh, I actually quite enjoy this. It wasn't then until a few years later that I got back to. I was giving an exchange where I was teaching tango to a Polish friend who is a fashion designer, right? And so we did an exchange, and again, I was like, oh my God, there's concepts in pattern drafting, etc. So it was a gradual introduction.
Like
into
this is cool. I love this jacket. Like I love that.
But the from where we all start to getting to a place where we're confident, and we also, one of the things that we all had, I imagine you'd agree with this, is we had to learn patience, that we're going to make a mistake many times, and we just have to actually understand there's a right way to do it. I can remember so many times people in classes with me, and they were almost in tears because they're having problems with zips, they're having problems with all sorts of things, myself included, right? But it was the only advice that anybody could give to anybody was just do it again, do it again.
Yeah,
and as cruel as it sounds, it was the only way you could learn and get over that frustration. And eventually, then you go, I can insert a sleeve, I can put on a collar or something. You know what I mean? Yeah, whatever you had problems. Yeah. So this isn't about me. This isn't about me.
But it is nice to hear your.
Yeah,
because when I first met you, you would never have been making this. Like, this is a fantastic jacket. I think this is.
This is.
And I like that because I love that the German uniform. I think that's a fantastic.
Yes. Uniforms. Talking about uniforms, I watched the Queen Elizabeth's funeral. And I watched it from, say, 10 o'clock until 6 o'clock, the actual day of the funeral. And it was full of ceremonial uniforms. and what really struck me were the different variations on hats.
Yeah. And the sashes.
And the epaulets, etc. Yeah, but you'd see a basic, say, red tunic jacket or something, and you go, oh, I've seen that 1,000 times. It's very much like, the toy soldier kind of look.
Yeah.
But then the plumage on the hats would be different, and so you'd see a bunch of soldiers marching lockstep, right, and then all these soldiers were going left, right, left, right, left, right. But then the next row further down, they'd have a different plumage, and there's so much variety. To a fashion nerd, it was quite it was quite indulgent. I went off and made teas and coffees and food and just watching all this. Okay, let me ask you. Do you consider what you're doing is an art? Is it a craft? Is it a vocation?
I think, well, you see, you're telling a story, and you're telling a story through fabric. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like I can't, I can do my job, but I can't do it in isolation. So it's the director, the actor, we're working collaborative. I don't know if it makes any sense, but if you, I saw a quote by the woman who won the Oscar for costume, and she said everyone would be naked without us. So because if you think about it, okay, if someone said, okay, will you be a costume designer for this play, and or for a film, you then have to see, okay, what's the context, what is the period, when are you going to set it, why is that person wearing that? So there has to be a reason behind what you sort of. So the week before we were to go into making for the production for the Spanish tragedy, part of me was like, why don't I just put them all in boiler suits, put the Spanish in yellow boiler suits and the Portuguese in green boiler suits. It would have made my life.
There was a great boiler suit in the show.
Yeah.
There was a super boiler suit. I really liked that.
Which one was it? The navy one or the girl? The one that the
one of the girls was wearing.
Yeah. That was interesting when I had to.
She played a bunch of different roles.
She was great.
Yeah, but she came on in this boiler suit near the end, and I was like, "That's really nice boiler suit."
Yeah. So basically, that was in the lockup. So they had some costumes were in a storage unit somewhere. I don't know where it was. Like one of these steel units, and I was trying to figure out, okay, 1980s, one of the characters has to be hung, and in order to be hung, there has to be you had to be able to get into it and make all it was a contraption that's made underneath a harness,
safety harness,
and it had to make the harness so that it's invisible to the audience, that it's not,
and to have room for all that, the wiring, etc.
And so basically it's a trick. So in order for the trick to work, it had to be seamless. Anyway,
because that didn't cross my mind. What I thought was that was a beautiful outfit. Costume, right?
Yeah.
And it suited her particular role that she was playing there.
Fantastic.
And I didn't think in terms of actually, there was other reasons as well why you came to that decision.
Also the thing is, because it was sort of also another last minute decision, which all the servants in that we thought, okay, let's put all the servants in like boiler suits, trainers, black jackets, or sort of make them all look a little bit more grungy than the other characters. So anyway, I just happened to have that boiler suit. We put it on her, and I was like, it works.
I liked the mix because.
And her back had to be taken out. Like that whole back had to be a pretend back, so that the audience couldn't see the contraption of the whatever.
Okay.
So
right. So that was invisible to our, and it was invisible to us. Yeah,
and I had to. I think the day before that was to go to be in like the show.
Yeah.
I found the similar fabric in pennies in a size 23 skirt, which I took apart because it was the same orange, and then I sewed the back.
Yeah, because it was two-tone, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was two-tone. Yeah.
But anyway, so.
Let me see. Do you think, as a designer, as an artist, as a musician?
I don't know what I am.
But do you think that do you require an audience? Do you seek an audience, or is this part of you do this stuff and you realize, oh, it does attract an audience.
I think it is not like years ago I dated a lovely guy. He was a DJ, and I think was his name, and he used to say to me, it is only completed. The circle of creativity is only completed when you have the third person. In other words, you have the audience. So in other words,
that's great. That's brilliant.
As in, we can make our stuff, and I could be there's nothing wrong with being selfish, and you make it for yourself, and you pants around your house, and it's grand. But it does make another dimension when you have another person to view what you've done and created. I guess designing for film, stage film, we're doing stuff for an audience to have a response to.
And within
that has its life.
It's like you're
creating an entity is coming through. Oh, sorry, I keep interrupting. But it's like we're basically the vessels for an entity, a creative entity that comes through and wants to be expressed, and therefore
you're all delivering an idea.
Yeah, and
you're working on a concept.
Yeah, we're telling a story, be it like making clothes, painting a picture, me DJing or whatever. It's a conversation, I think.
And in a very short period of time, you're saying about 5 weeks, yeah?
Oh yeah. 5
weeks, yeah. The actors had longer.
No, they pretty much had 5 weeks to learn those lines.
that was so impressive.
Yeah.
If there are any of the actors from the Spanish tragedy watching this, you are awesome. Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. And great fun to work with.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, what I think is also important for people in the creative mode is that they have peers, groups of friends, other artists, where they're reflecting together, not consciously reflecting. It's just the language that you share.
It's really good. It's really I feel grateful to have yourself and the team that we have. Yeah. Because also you guys were because a few times I nearly left the college. And you were like, no, stick in it, so it's very, I think I feel I'm very lucky with the peers I have, because they don't blow smoke up my arse, do you know what I mean? We pretty much keep each other.
That's hard to visualise. We don't do that.
No,
we've never even thought of that.
Without basically, we don't go, oh my God, you're so amazing. I think there's a good foundation of a grounding with us. I think we do want to get the best out of each other. We want to we want to be good at what we do.
Yeah.
And it's nice having like-minded people to sort of have a tribe of people that you can sort of.
What I've noticed about you is that you made friends with both our teacher, Rena, and I thought that was really special, because the line between teacher and pupil. Should I say the divide?
Yeah.
Because Rena's so giving, and it was, whether I'll include that Rena or not, but it was really special.
I think it's.
I got the benefit of that as well, because I realized, I could see, the different. And the distance wasn't so far. Not in terms of, obviously Rena was. In terms of what she knew was much further ahead, but just the ability to communicate and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not going to include that.
Well, it's interesting, because you see, I probably done the same in IADT. Like, a lot of my tutors have loads of experience, and I would definitely have put them all on pedestals. But I think when I then was be able to relate to them and to ask them questions about their field, it then became less sort of sorry, I'm not making any sense. It became less, the unattainableness became less, because I then could see, I learned a lot from my costume design teacher, because she really wasn't sort of, I now get why she's she doesn't blow her trump, she doesn't tell, she's not basically telling you everything that she's involved in and what she's doing and going, aren't I great, and here are all my drawings and blah blah blah. She pretty much is just getting on with it, doing her job. It's a job. Whereas I think I probably would have been, hey, look, I'm doing this, and very, very sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she she doesn't.
Hey, look what we're doing.
Well, I think, but I can understand why you can get a bit like, I don't need to preach about it. Like she's just doing it.
Well, she's got to a place where she's met what she's trying to achieve, and she's confident about her position.
She's really,
so she knows she can actually.
All the advice she gave me, all of the advice they gave me, all it was totally. I'm really leaning on it. Like.
Okay, look. Why don't we leave it there, and we'll come back sometime down the road.
I know it's not bad. I don't know where we're going to be living.
Yeah, we'll come back down the road, and we'll catch up.
Thanks for coming.
So we'll just 1, 2, 3. Catherine, it was a real pleasure to obviously to meet you and talk about your work, and congratulations on getting your degree and the production that you were in, the Spanish tragedy, and so thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Michael. Yeah. Can we ask about you now?